May 30th, Double or Nothing live on Fight TV. You will not be proud of Cody Rhodes. So I'm gonna smash his face in. Hey Cody! Hey Cody! I'm gonna smash his face in. Hey Cody! I'm gonna cave in your ribs. I'm gonna punch the peroxide out of your head. You piss boy! You piss boy! You think you're tough, huh? You think you're a bad man? Because you've beaten some Brits in the past. Some good Brits. Doug Williams, Will Ospreay, you piss boy. Pack. But they ain't me.
You're tuned into Too Sweet Elite with Andrew and AJ, presented by the AEP.
Welcome back, all Elite family, to another exciting edition of Too Sweet Elite. I'm here with my boy, Big Match AJ. AJ, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Like, I've been going through some stuff, but I'm using wrestling to fight it, man. And I've been diving into the independent scene.
That's what wrestling's all about sometimes, right? Like, I mean, in a strange way, I think that brings a lot of people like something fun that they can get involved in, and you can just like reach out, and it's an easy way to connect with like-minded people. Like, because I can relate, you know what I mean? I could definitely relate to wrestling at times, like being the thing that pulls me out of a funk, and I almost feel exactly the same way. Like last week we didn't have the Thursday show because we were just both busy. I was just kind of overwhelmed with almost nothing. Like I've gotten off of not having to do much with college. Just the last week I was just kind of had a lot going on in my head. But today I did the WrestleJoy article. That was a lot of fun, shining a light on Baron Black. I loved researching him. That was really interesting to me. Then just sort of re-engaging in wrestling Twitter for a little bit today. It was just nice. It was nice to just talk with like-minded people, sort of about similar stuff. When I'm not so focused in on school, I'm able to do that a lot more. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that you're doing that, man, and I hope that you're going to continue it. You talked about doing some journalism type stuff.
Yep.
You did an interview with a wrestler at a show this week, right?
Yeah, well, I went to a wrestling show, and I saw a tag team really, like, kind of made me go, man, these people should be known. And then I thought, man, I would love to do journalism, just highlighting the lesser-known guys on the indies. So I reached out to a guy I'd seen before, did an interview with him. Cool stuff coming.
I'm excited, man. That's really dope. I'm glad you got to get out to an indie show. I'm a little envious of you now as things start to open back up. You're going to be able to get to a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to travel to different places, I think. I'm excited for that because I think I'm going to be doing a lot more just driving and getting out of state. I think with Amara getting older, I want to get her to some of these wrestling shows too. Maybe not GCW because that's a little crazy, but we'll get to some shows and just do some different stuff out of state. I think is what I'm really excited for. But I'm envious of you. You got a lot of indies. The more that I've done some stuff about like shining a light on a lot of these guys, because they're in Florida right now, you learn about, holy crap, there's so many different indies in that area. So yeah, dude, it's a great time. And it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I feel like live shows are becoming more and more common. The pay-per-view is coming up, and that in and of itself, they started selling tickets. They sold those I think on Monday, right? Yeah, they went on sale yesterday. Yep. Pay-per-view, I know, is about sold out. There's probably a couple of like individual tickets available. So yeah, did you take a look at any of that? You seen that they sold out at least?
I think they sold out, right? Because I was on Twitter last night, so I'm pretty sure they sold out. If not sold out, like you said, damn near. And it makes sense because you have like at the indie show I was at, it was packed. Like it was more packed than before COVID because so many people have been vaccinated and there's a thing to do, and so they just want to go out and see some wrestling. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
They released them at a great time because, like for fans in general, there was an opportunity really to get them. I know that I didn't check the site right as they went on sale. I had kind of forgotten about it. And then every time there's a show like this, I start looking. I'm like, I could probably afford it, but how do I get the time? I start trying to scheme a way to go. But I was like, nah, I'm not going to. 3-4 hours later, tickets are all sold out. And I love it when that happens because it takes the pressure off of me to try and find a way to make it. I'm like, nope, can't go. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they're about all sold out outside of a couple of really pricey, like front-ish type special event type seats. But yeah.
I really did want to go, but like this month kicked my ass financially, so I was like, well, I guess I'll go to July in Miami or maybe something in June.
Well, and that's the thing right now. They're going to still pop back out in Florida and stick around those southern states for sure. That you'll definitely have time And yeah, I think it's cool that they're doing the Friday show. I know the Friday show still has quite a bit of tickets available. They're thinking that it's more of a fly-in on Saturday for the Fan Fest type of thing. They're not able to pull in as much for that Friday show, but we'll see. That's going to be interesting in it itself, because if they can pull in a big audience for that show, moving nights isn't going to feel like it's going to be impactful, but you're going to want to see that show because of the audience. Like if you're on Twitter just scrolling and you see a video highlight from that episode, you're gonna be like, wow, this is nuts. Like they're going crazy. This is jam-packed. So if they do get a lot more fly-in fans who just happen to be in the area and they're like, let's go to that show too, I won't be surprised. I'm excited for next week's Dynamite just for that fact in and of itself. Like it's a little bit of a bummer. I think next week is when they begin switching to essentially Friday Night Dynamite is what we might as well call it, right?
Yeah, it's going to be on Fridays because of the NBA, if I'm correct in that.
Late night on Fridays, too.
It's tough because it's right before the pay-per-view. That's not what you want. But at the same time, like you said, it really shouldn't. I don't think it's happened before, right? Like this isn't the first rodeo where they had to change nights because of the NBA. And what we saw was the fan base stuck with it because they advertised the hell out of it. We're going to be on Friday. We're going to be on Thursday, whatever the case was. That they just promoted and promoted, like this is the night it's going to be on, so make sure you tune in, set your DVR, yada yada yada. And like that's the thing. And also you can say like, oh man, like some people are accustomed to watching it on Wednesdays and they won't be able to because of work or whatever, but then you come out with the DVR numbers and it's basically a regular Dynamite.
I hope it's a regular Dynamite. I think it is and it's not a risky decision because they had no choice essentially with the NBA playoffs and how things lined up. Like there's really no decision that was made. It was just how they had to do things. And it's a bit of a bummer, but I think especially with it being a Friday, it being stuff is getting open back up, they might see a big hit on that night. I think that and that's not anything to be. I mean, as fans, we shouldn't worry either way. But I don't think TNT will be worried about it. I think they recognize it. And I think if they pull a big number, that it's going to be just a better sign. The fact they're going on a little bit later as well, I think is just going to hurt them. Personally,
that's what I was gonna say because I wasn't sure. They're going on at 10, right?
Yeah, because they don't want to go head to head with SmackDown. I can't blame them for not, but I think it would have been a worthy risk to go for it. I can't blame them for not it being on Fox and whatnot. But people are gonna be channel surfing. You're really gonna have your dedicated fan base want to check out that show because it's a go home show. I would feel like again, I don't blame them for not, but that's the risk that they should have taken, in my opinion.
I do get that, but here's my thinking. My thinking is, yeah, you're going head-to-head with Fox, and that sucks, and you're going to take a hit. But take the hit and have the people who are engaged with it, because a lot of people are going to watch SmackDown and be like, I don't want to watch another 2 hours of wrestling.
I agree. I think that they could have probably pulled in a decent chunk of the SmackDown fan base just to be like, there's something else on. I typically watch wrestling on Fridays, but let me see what's going on over here. It's not always going to be on over here. I just think, and again, I get it. I get not wanting to go head-to-head with SmackDown, but even then, that in it of itself feels like a WWE move where it's like, well, we have a built-in excuse. If we go against SmackDown, then there's a reason for that low number, and I almost would have preferred they'd done that. But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Friday nights for the next couple of months, as of the 28th, or I think it's all of next month. I would say begins on the 28th, and then it's all of June. All of June's shows are going to be on Friday night. It's going to be a different thing for people to get accustomed to. But who knows? I think we could end. They might have a big surprise they're keeping in their back pocket to run on the following Friday night or something. We'll see. I mean, there's always the Daniel Bryan speculation. They did do the surprise announcement today. Kenny Omega is going to be fighting Andrade at Triple Mania in August. So that is something to be excited for as a fan of professional wrestling.
You were ready to go to Mexico.
I told Joseph, let's go, brother. And then I realized how far away it is from San Antonio, and I was like, nah.
No, but it is really going to be a fantastic match. I like the fact that they're promoting Andrade like a real contender, like not a contender, like a guy who can
he's fucking
take on
legit
Kenny
right
Omega.
now.
Legit. That's the word I'm looking for. Like he's legit. Like he's a real competitor to face Kenny Omega, and it'll be a banger of a match. We all know that.
Yeah, there's no he's a former WWE guy, but there's no stigma of that in my opinion going into this match. Like to me, it's like he's stepping right back into place, or stepping into place now as one of the top guys of AAA, and this is a way to solidify it for them in AAA. It's a great opponent for Kenny. It's a great way to do this match without having to immediately bring Andrade in. There have been rumors that there have been discussions with Andrade between AEW and him, so I'm sure that I would be shocked if we don't see him on their television between now and August. Like, this seems like something they'll lean into.
Yeah, even if it's just like a spot, like he's coming in every now and then, or like Laredo Kid, because like maybe he wants to work in Mexico, and that's totally fine. But like I totally expect him to be on AEW in some capacity, like a lot of people who come in every now and then and leave, and even oh my God, how am I forgetting Takeshita, like in DDT.
Yeah, shoot, if they did something like that with Andrade, that'd be wicked. And I would love to see them just sort of do something like that with some of the other talent based in Mexico that we might not get a chance to see, especially as they're going to be doing some shows in Texas. I would love it, man.
Yes.
There's a couple of different guys I could think of that, and I definitely don't know the contract situation of like Mexican talent, but there's this guy who was really getting some buzz for himself, El Hijo del Vikingo, over the last couple of years, and then it kind of died down with the pandemic, and I don't know how, again, wrestling landed in AAA at that point, but I would love to see them bring him in for some Texas shows. And, dude, I'll be pumped if I'm calling it right now. So when it comes, if it comes, that'll be awesome. So, yeah, but that's cool, too, that they're getting ready to get out of the Florida area after the pay-per-view. That match is going to be great, and it's very cool. Like, Kenny will almost do a Texas tour ahead of that. So, and again, that part of Arena Mexico, 15 hours away from San Antonio, so I get it's not exactly right there, but still very cool.
Well, for a wrestler, flying there isn't as big of a deal.
Brother, I'm not flying there. Is all.
Not you.
But it's definitely something that I'm excited about. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact Dynamite dropped in rating a little bit this week. Dropped down to 930,000.
Yeah. I mean, I was expecting it. I wasn't expecting them to keep going with the million after Blood and Guts. I was expecting it to average out to what it was. And honestly, it's still not a bad number. And it's basically at 1 million. Like, we're at what, 950 or whatever. Who cares? Like, TNT is over the moon. That's what matters. And we were never ratings guys. And with the ratings war, quote unquote, being over, it's even more of a who cares. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. A dip was expected. It was a great show, though. Last week's Dynamite, I think it was a solid show. They did a great job. Well, it'll be more interesting again going into these Friday night shows. I guess we're not typically, especially the big thing is, can they maintain this 900 rating? That's going to be tough when they come back to Wednesdays.
The time slot, when they come back to Wednesdays, I think they can.
That's the most important thing right now, and that's what's been tough, is they've only had a short amount of time, honestly, between NXT going to Tuesdays and this point where they now have to shift to Fridays, where we weren't really able to figure out what they could do on Wednesdays. And I think it's always going to be like somewhat fluctuating on Wednesdays. I think it's going to depend on what people want to see, how interested they are in the show. I think there's always intrigue in AEW and what they're putting together, but it just depends on exactly the show and the exact card and who's going to be on the card, because they don't always have the top guys on the show.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, that makes AEW a little bit better, so.
Yeah, and you took the words out of my mouth. That's literally what I was going to follow up with. So,
yeah, and maybe this is why they're fighting. That's the EVPs. They're arguing. That's what everybody said. I don't know if you saw the report. That's why Daniel Bryan and CM Punk are refusing to sign with AEW because there's just so much heat between.
We're really doing the dirt sheets. Okay, let's do it.
Young Bucks. Dude, there's heat. Cody. Why isn't he on Being the Elite? Why is he there? He's always on Sammy's vlog. He's got a whole gimmick on Sammy's vlog right now. That's all I'm saying. Why couldn't he find his new member of the Nightmare Family on BTE?
I haven't seen Kenny Omega on a shot of brandy.
Nope, not once. Never. I don't know if he does shots, but he wouldn't be doing one with brandy. That's for sure.
It's conspiracy. But
this is what I expected, man. Like, this is.
Yeah, this comes out a lot too.
This has been reported like 3 times. I feel like that they just don't see everything 100%, and that when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, and you understand, okay, he was raised by Dusty Rhodes, who's gonna have one whole thought process of professional wrestling, and
These
then
guys had a backyard with the ring in it.
their dad bought him a ring, and they came up just at times just shitting on the business or shitting on the idea of the business, protecting and so it gets conflicting. I don't think they have massive issues where they can't get together and make things work. I don't think this is an actual issue preventing people from wanting to join the company. I could understand to an extent, I suppose, if you're like a Cody guy and you want to just be able to come in and know that things aren't going to get all skewed. But it doesn't seem that way. This seems like a silly rumor, but it was funny to talk about.
Like, I would say traditionally, and I said this in our chat when we were talking about it, booking committees don't work, but I don't know if it even is a booking committee. Like, I don't know how the AEW functions. I don't know
it seems
how
like Tony's
they decide
the booking
matches.
committee, and then these guys can all present something if they want to, and you get what you get. Like, I could see Cody seeing that "I'm sorry, I love you" spot and being like, "Oh my fucking god, these guys." But then I could also see these guys listening to his sort of like classic old school kind of promo and being like, "This fucking guy." But maybe none of that is happening.
Yeah.
Like, maybe none of it is happening.
And
maybe,
most likely it's not.
yeah, maybe it's just disagreements over where we're putting Brian Pillman Jr. on the card. Like, there's so much these guys are figuring out that I'm certain they haven't always agreed on stuff. Shit, they didn't always agree on stuff before they didn't have a company, and they were just doing Being the Elite together, and there was conflict between Kenny and Cody that was seemingly a storyline, but also probably had some legitimacy to it. You know what I mean? So for this to have been a continued story, yeah, it's definitely just dirt sheet clickbait stuff. There's a lot of that this week. There's a lot of that. I have to be mindful of not going out of my way to be like, why are you guys doing this?
But
like,
this was a funny one.
This was a funny one. It was similar to the one last week where, what was it? They set the business back 30 years. What got me what got me heated this week was all the websites being like, Chris Jericho says WWE set wrestling back 30 years because of the zombies. I was like, he was joking. Why do all of you platforms take a joking tweet and decide this is how we're going to get clicks? And it drives me insane, but I understand the business of it, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. We got Christopher Daniels. He's going to retire, you think, or no?
I think he's gonna probably have like one big match. I don't think he's gonna go out like that. I think he's gonna go out with one big match against.
Would you want to see him versus Kaz?
That's what I'm thinking.
Him versus Scorp, or him versus like another upcoming talent.
You know what I would really love? Samoa Joe.
Okay, that is one that would be pretty dope.
Like, Samoa Joe doesn't have to sign to be like Daniels wants one last match with the old rival.
You might be onto something there. That would be pretty sweet. I think that would be an interesting ass way to bring Samoa Joe in as well, and just because you know me, I would say and he should run through Christopher Daniels in his retirement match and just be put over as a strong guy. I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Scorpio. Scorpio playing the heel role, obviously, just like get him out of here type of thing. Elevate Scorp a little bit. I don't really want to see him versus Kaz.
I do. I wouldn't mind it.
On Dynamite, like as a Dynamite top of the hour main event, not even the main event of the show, but like, and you could main event the show with that. Don't get me wrong, but I don't have that love for CD like everybody else does. I understand his talent. I don't think he's bad. I understand everything.
It's cool.
He just has never connected.
It's not your guy.
Me, so yeah, it's like I'm bummed he's potentially injured with his eye. Everybody saw that. I thought he had just bladed at first, but it looks like he really caught that ring post hard. So yeah. I think we'll get one more from him, and the thing is too, is it's like he's a guy I feel like should be like a top level guy, right? Essentially, but he's just at the same time too old for me, especially without having been really established as a top level guy.
I would say like that's his career, is like he's always been able to be a top level guy, but never was the guy who was like, I want to be draped in gold, I want the top spot, I want this, I want that. He was always like his work spoke for itself. That's why the fans liked him. They didn't like him because he had championships. They didn't like him because he was at the top of the company, because he never really was. He's always like been upper mid card. Sometimes he would enter the ROH main events, but he wouldn't even win the titles.
Yeah.
And it was really a thing about respect of Daniels and his body of work in the business.
It's funny you mentioned that Ring of Honor run, because that is what gets me jazzed up about Daniels. Is like him in that role where he was able to be put in that position. And again, I don't think he should have been in AEW. I'm glad, like, his run in AEW has been perfect. He is the type of guy that young talent should want to mold the end of their career off of, because he's done it in such a smart way. He's a producer now. Like, he's still going to be involved. He still has great matches when he has them, but they're in limited capacity. And he even made up for the botch. Like, we'll talk about the show here in a couple minutes, but he made up for it. So
I forgot about it at this point.
He's a freaking legend, dude. Like, how? Well, you forgot about it right after because he's so damn good.
Yeah.
First, you're like, oh, fuck, is he okay? Then you're like, oh, fuck, he's going to do it again. And then he hits it, and you're like, oh, why were we worried? Why were we worried? Like, obviously, he's fine. So, I don't want to miss anything. Orange Cassidy was injured in the middle of the show. That's a bummer, but he's okay. So, nothing to be too worried about. Jericho, though, apparently out of action for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see how true that is come the pay-per-view. Looks like they're building. He
dislocated his shoulder when he fell. Not broke anything, but just dislocated it. I don't know if that's true, but
I don't know anything about it.
It's feasible.
I looked at it in a sense of like, is he like faking, like are they making up a worked injury to take the heat off the spot type of thing? That was my initial thought. Now that there've been more reports that it's a legit injury, I'm like, okay, that sucks. Especially when he didn't want to do the spot, got critiqued for the spot, then ends up injured for the spot. It's like, oh fuck, you know.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure. I don't know if he'll be involved in that match though. What, that he's getting compared to The Rock?
No, that he's injured.
Pretty sure. We've definitely covered that on this. Not today's show, but we've definitely covered
that's what I meant.
On the pod. Shout out to Ricky Starks. He's a freaking goat,
Ricky.
and I'm so excited to see his run. Like 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about him as the guy, I feel like, in just all of wrestling. So
I don't know why. I just remembered reading like a lot of different articles of like, no, this is an injury. No, this is an injury. Well,
there was some speculation because it was definitely the neck injury is why he's out. But then apparently Brian Alvarez was reporting that he might have also suffered a knee injury. And then he came out and was like, nah, my knee's good. And it's, to be fair to Alvarez, he said it might be tweaked. He didn't say it was, but people started taking that and running with it. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the news. I think we got the news all covered. Most of it, anything else we'll cover when we run through Dynamite real quick. We're going to talk about this week's Dynamite because we didn't cover it on Thursday. They opened the show with Yuji Nagata versus Jon Moxley. Moxley retained, I guess I was a little on the fence about it, but as most people were expecting Moxley to retain, he hits Paradigm Shift. Post-match, these two bow to each other. This was good stuff. It was nothing too crazy. Didn't take too long. Good way to showcase New Japan.
I think especially because Nagata doesn't need to be on. Like Meltzer was saying, like, man, I wish it was longer, and I was like, do you? Like, I don't know if you do, because I think be careful what you wish for. This was fine. It was really snug. They hit each other hard, and that's what you want out of a New Japan style match, and it was great. I liked it.
Yep. I thought they did a good job. I like this showcase of another company's belt on AEW, and this is the beginning of a relationship. I feel like this is 5 years from now when they do an AEW documentary and they start talking about the relationship with New Japan. It's obviously going to be the Kenta thing, but then they'll talk about this match as well. So just because this is the beginning stages, it's not some huge main event. Like they'll save that, but we already know the relationship exists well before that, so it's not an invasion angle. It's just, this is so smart. Like, it's very, very good. Then they cut a nice promo with the Inner Circle, just talking about why Santana, I believe, wasn't there, and also saying that they want another match with the the Pinnacle, otherwise their coronation is going to be their funeral. Talk more about that later, but I think that the guys who had to handle the mic this week did a good job.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of news. Is the reason Santana was out was because he's sick. Nothing serious, but they just wanted to be safe.
Well, that's what's weird. They're booking this like, what, 5-on-5 match or maybe 4-on-4 with no Jericho, and shit, what is it going to be, like 3-on-3 with no Santana if he's still sick?
I think he's okay now, though.
That's true. I guess, and we should be clear, too. It wasn't like a COVID thing, but because of COVID, they're just taking extra precaution with everyone who's sick. So, good point. We then get Cody Rhodes out to make his announcement for the pay-per-view. Announces he's going to be fighting Anthony Ogogo. We get some big promo about the U.S. versus the U.K. and America's the place where dreams live. And he references Tony Khan's dad at one point, Shad Khan, for creating some bumpers, investing in a bumper and changing the lives of everyone in his city. Then he just talks about how his daughter's being born in a city where that was just full of segregation in the 60s, but she's coming from a family of a black mother and a white father, and this got over great. This was a fantastic. The way he delivered it was great.
Yes.
And well, honestly, when I was able to take a minute and break it down, I was like, okay, I get what he was saying here. I don't know if it necessarily hits and is as impactful today. I know some people had an issue about doing the whole UK versus US thing. I could understand that, but this is professional wrestling. It's a storyline. Relax. I think that I can understand it. I can understand your frustration, I guess, but this isn't even like an actual, like, the UK and the US aren't at odds right now. Like, they're not pulling on real life race issues.
It's not.
And let me not sound
like
stupid, because there were
out waving a flag.
There were real life race issues mentioned in his promo. That's not what I'm trying to say, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not.
You loved it, right? You liked the promo when it was delivered, yeah?
I loved it because, like, dude sold it, man. Like, when he said the American Dream, I was like, all right, he sold the match, good job. But, like, on the other end, like, the dude's virtue signaling, let's not pretend. Like, but, like, the delivery was so good that, like, the more ignorant parts of the promo really didn't matter because the fans were on their feet. That's what matters.
I love that he's becoming like, and I get it. The American Dream is definitely Dusty Rhodes, but he's becoming Hulk Hogan, brother. He can't win the championship, but he's becoming Hulk Hogan, and I love it. I'm so happy about it.
I'm into it. I'm for it.
I was a Cody guy long ago when he was on SmackDown doing shitty stuff, and to see this guy, never would have imagined it. Couldn't have ever told me. Would have never even booked an EWR company with this man as the face of my company. But it makes so much sense that